Hi class, this is Mrs. Albritton. Let's continue with our Unit 2, Part 3 study guide. And again, the version that I'm looking at was broken down into the I do, we do, you do that we're used to in class, but it's the same material that you're working on. So I'm going to actually do the first two, the I do and the we do, and then I want you to try the part that says you do. So on yours, it says which table is not a function. Mine says which table is a function. And recall that in order to determine if a set of XY values are a function and you're looking at a table, then all you need to look at is the X values, because to be a function, the X values cannot repeat. So which table is a function? I'll look at table A. When I look at table A, the X values are -4, -2, 0, -2, and 3. I immediately see that -2 is repeating. Since one of my X values is repeating, A is not a function. So I'm going to actually X that one out being a function. So this is not a function. Now I'm also going to do C. So this is the we do. So hopefully we can sort of work it out together so you follow along with me. And again, to be a function, we have to look at the X values. They cannot repeat. I see -2, -1, 0, -1, 3. Again, I see a repeat that tells me C cannot be a function. So I would like for you to check B and D. So take a moment and do that now. Which table is a function? You're correct. Table B is a function because none of the X values repeat. And on table D, I see 0 and 0 repeating. So that's not a function. Very good. Let's go to the next problem. So here, number 3, we're asked to figure out which graph does not represent a function. So again, we're still determining a function, but instead of a table, this time we have a graph. And you probably remember that if you've got a graph, which is a visual representation, you can simply use the vertical line test to check to see if you've got a function. So let's look at graph A. Now, if I draw vertical lines through this graph, what I'm looking for is to see if any of my vertical lines cross or hit or touch the graph in more than one spot. And looks like they do not. So that means that A, it says which graph does not represent a function. Well, A passed the vertical line test, so it is a function. So this one is good. Let me look at C. Again, the vertical line test is what we're looking for. And the vertical lines drawn on this graph only pass through the graph at one point only. So this one is a function because it passes the vertical line test. Now you can check B and D. See what you think. You're correct. D is not a function because if we draw vertical lines on some of those places, you see this vertical line is hitting that graph at 2 spots. So is this one. And so would others that you may draw. Since it fails the vertical line test, D is not a function. All right, good. Next problem. Number 4. Consider the graph of a function where y is equal to k of x below. All right. Now this one may be a little new, or it seems new. We've been working with functions. We'll be doing a lot more with functions in the future also. So we're going to select all of the following that are true. Let's check A. A states -4 is in the range of k. Remember, range is the set of all y values. Range equals the y values. And if we're looking on a graph to find the range, we're looking from the bottom to the top. Remember the height, because the y-axis is vertical. So from the bottom to the top, how tall is this graph? And I can see that it starts down here, and I can see that it goes all the way up here. So the range starts at like what, -7.5, it looks like, all the way up to 8. So is -4 in that range? Well, -7.5, so -7.5, and it goes all the way up to 8, +8. Yep, so -4 is definitely in there, because here's -4, and that graph is covering part of -4, because it's from here all the way up. So it goes through -4. So select all of the following that are true. A is definitely true. Let's look at B. -8 is in the range of K. Well, since the bottom begins at -7.5 and it does not touch -8, here's -8 down here. It does not start that low at -8. So the answer for this one is not part of the truth. C. K of 3 is less than K of -3. Now let me explain what they mean when they say K of 3. Remember up here it said Y is equal to K of X. So K, if we got, let's say we've got an XY table. Well, that K of X is represented here. So when they say that K of X is equal to Y, so this is equal to that. This means that for whatever value of X I'm looking at on my graph, the ordered pair the ordered pair value of Y is going to be what it's equal to. This is what I mean. Let me choose a point on the graph. Okay, here's a point on the graph. This is a nice point. Now this ordered pair is over -5. So that's -5 up 9. That means that at -5 on the X, for the X value, the Y value is 0. So it means at K of X, when X is -5, Y is 0. Now this one on part C says, what is K of 3? Well, let's see. So when X is 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I find a spot on the actual graph. Let me clear up some of this writing so you can see what I'm about to do. So I'm going to erase some of this. It'll let me anyway. Okay, so let's erase. Too much stuff. All right. And now we're going to move around. Let's go back to that problem. All right. So for K of 3, which means find X, go over to 1, 2, 3, and then go down to the graph. So here's the graph where X is 3. And at that point where X is 3, what is Y? Looks like what? Almost -7.5. So we'll say about -7.5. Now it also says that K of -3. So let me go back to 0 and go over to X at -3. -1, -2, -3. Go to the graph. It's about right here. That point is when X is -3, Y is -2. -2. So C reads K of 3, which is -7.5, is less than K of -3, which is -2. So the question that this is really asking is -7.5 less than -2? And the answer is yes, because the lower you go on the negative side or down below, the smaller you get. So -7.5 is less than -2. That's true. This is similar. D is similar. K of 5 is equal to 0. Well, let's check it out. So when x is 5 on this graph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is right here, that ordered pair is x is 5, y is 0, because we didn't go up or down at all. So is this true? When k of 5 is equal to 0, that means when x is 5, y is 0. That's true. And then it says k of 0 is negative 5. Okay, let's find out. Let's make this 0. So when x is 0, that means you don't move at all. Let's go to the graph. It's right here. That is not way down here at negative 5. So this is not true. So the only ones that are true are A, C, and D. All right, and we'll stop this video right here, and we'll pick up on the next problems in the next video.